Today on Public Eye News, the state of California is under a flood watch, and immigrants from all over the nation take to the streets to protest President Trump's stance on immigration.
Ahead, weatherman Dan Campion will have our weather forecast for the upcoming week, and we'll update you on the NMU hockey team's next match. Hi, I'm Samantha Carter.
And I'm Charles Owsley. Welcome to Public Eye News. Vanderbilt. 27th annual UP 200 sled dog race begins tonight in downtown Marquette. The opening ceremony begins at 6:30 on Washington Street with races beginning at 7 in front of the Mining Journal. Families are invited to enjoy a pizza party and take photos with the UP 200 mascot at the Children's Museum between 5 and 7 p.m. In addition, the Ordok Brewing Company and Masonic Building will be hosting warm-up parties during and after the races with music and drinks. And police were called to the scene of a crash between a semi and a pickup truck last night in Negaunee Township. The accident occurred just before 10 p.m. near the Charter Communications office. 37-year-old Francis Grew of St. Praxede, Quebec, was driving east on US 41 when his semi-tractor trailer crashed into a pickup driven by 19-year-old Trevor Williams of Ishpeming. The incident occurred when Williams pulled out in front of Grew as he entered a driveway on the south end of US 41. Williams was not wearing a seatbelt, nor did the airbags deploy. Williams was later taken to UP Health Systems Marquette for non-life-threatening injuries.
Northern Michigan University's College of Business hosted a unique event for students last night. Approximately 20 local employers came to NMU's campus for a night of speed interviewing. Similar to speed dating, each student was interviewed by several potential employers in quick succession. After each 3-minute interview, the employers gave participating students feedback on their performances. NMU's College of Business Dean David Raymond said the event was intended to help promote networking locally and help students practice thinking on their feet. And State Representative John Keevala introduced a House resolution earlier this week regarding possible upgrades to the Soo Locks in Sault Ste. Marie. Specifically, the resolution supported the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers' request for the funding to study the potential construction of a second large lock at the Soo Locks. Currently, the largest lock, the Poe Lock, is the only one large enough to accommodate all of the modern vessels that transport iron ore and other commodities throughout the Great Lakes. Representative Keevala is urging forward progress on the study of a second lock because if something were to happen to incapacitate the Poe Lock, ships and their cargo would be stranded.
A teacher at Bangor High School in southwestern Michigan has resigned after a student at the school told police he was duct taped to a chair in class. Police Chief Tommy Simpson says the teacher admitted to duct taping the student while another student recorded the incident. According to Simpson, the student in question uses arm movements while speaking, which the teacher said was a distraction, and claimed that she only taped him as a joke. The Detroit Fire Department is investigating a possible case of arson at Detroit's Katoy restaurant that started at 6 this morning in the city's Corktown neighborhood. Investigators believe the incident was a break-in and discovered a tote bag filled with liquor near the back exit. Detroit Deputy Fire Commissioner David Fornell confirmed a separate break-in at nearby Nemo's Bar, but said the two crimes have not yet been linked. And after a brief break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
On the next edition of Native Report, we'll attend the National Training Program of the Society of American Indian Government Employees.
We'll learn about SAGE's Native Youth Track.
I'm not just a little Native American from, this res town. I can actually be somebody and do something with my life.
And we'll interview Prairie Island Indian Community President Ron Johnson.
There's a lot of history here.
We'll also learn about leadership and hear from our elders on the next Native Report.
Saturday at 5 after Outdoor Wisconsin on Public TV 13.
Welcome back. New details have arisen surrounding the Dakota Access Pipeline in North Dakota. Protesters at the Standing Rock Sioux Tribe Reservation met with state representatives regarding the February 22nd federal evacuation deadline. This follows North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's emergency evacuation order for the Oastee-Sacoin protest camp yesterday after warm temperatures and increased snowmelt caused potential flood risks. Despite protests to the contrary, the February 22nd federal evacuation deadline is still in place for the Standing Rock Sioux protesters. And evacuations are underway in Southern California as residents brace for the strongest storm to hit the region in years. This system is poised to bring nonstop heavy rain, snow, and gusty winds to the region beginning today. Hannah Daniels has the latest from New York.
In the town of Duarte, east of Los Angeles, residents prepared their properties with multiple lines of defense, including piling sandbags ahead of the massive storm moving in. The National Weather Service is warning flooding, mudslides, rock slides, and power outages are all possible.
It may not come down, it may come down, who knows, maybe a whole mountain come down.
Forecasters say major cities like Los Angeles and San Diego could get hit with over an inch of rain an hour and break records. The LA Fire Department says they have extra crews on standby.
We have 49 people on this department that are trained up as swiftwater technicians.
Meanwhile, in Northern California, officials are watching the Oroville Dam after 200,000 people were evacuated in the region earlier this week. Officials feared the dam's emergency spillways would fail and cause a tsunami downstream. Crews are now confident the reservoir will be able to handle any runoff from the major storm set to hit the region next week.
A Florida man has been charged in connection to a plot to bomb Target stores on the East Coast in an effort to lower the value of their stock and then buy up the shares. Mark Charles Barnett of Ocala has been charged with possession of a firearm affecting commerce by a previously convicted felon. Barnett reportedly offered a family member $10,000 to plant bombs in several stores from New York to Florida. Barnett created at least 10 bombs hidden in boxes of pasta and stuffing, powerful enough to cause serious injury to someone. If convicted, Barnett faces a maximum of 10 years in federal prison. Barnett is currently in custody at the Marion County Jail for violating his probation. And hundreds of businesses across the country shut down on Thursday to protest President Trump's immigration policies. Dean Reynolds was outside a restaurant in Chicago was shut down to show support for immigrant employees.
Protesters marched in defiance of President Trump's immigration ban Thursday, as hundreds of businesses throughout the country closed their doors in solidarity. More than 23% of the restaurant industry's workforce is foreign-born. That's nearly 2.3 million workers. Greg Dodge says immigrants make up around 90% of the kitchen staff in his Philadelphia restaurants. More than 80 restaurants closed in that city.
I'm not happy about losing the income. I'm not happy about them losing their income to do this demonstration. I felt it was best to support them.
Carmelo Sosa and Maria Flores' Allentown, Pennsylvania restaurant was one of just a few businesses to close in the area.
We decided to close because we want to support the day.
As of 2014, more than a quarter of the more than 42 million immigrants living in the U.S. are Mexican. Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is the largest Mexican community in the Midwest. Little Village Chamber of Commerce Executive Director Jaime DePaulo initially urged businesses to stay open.
Even though business owners are losing a lot of money today, but we're in full support of our community.
But Michael Moreno chose to close his family's Little Village liquor store anyway.
There's nothing more powerful than for an entire community to tell people, wait a second, we're also part of this American dream.
The Russian spy ship Viktor Leonov has moved from its position off the coast of Connecticut southward to a new position northeast of Norfolk, Virginia. This follows Tuesday's events when the Russian spy ship positioned itself east of Long Island, about 30 miles south of a U.S. Navy submarine base in New London, Connecticut. Officials say the vessel was loitering in the area and it was likely gathering intelligence about U.S. Navy submarine operations. And after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
This week on Media Meet, we'll talk about poetry in the Upper Peninsula with the region's first laureate, Russ Thorburn, and the final nominees for laureate in 2017, Kathleen Heidemann and Marty Atkins. I'm Bill Hart. We'll also hear some poems before announcing the new UP Poet Laureate this week on WNMU's Media Meet.
Welcome back to your Public Eye News. I'm Dan Campen, and as you can see outside, we have a beautiful day on our hands. The last of those clouds have evaporated, so it is officially a 100% sunny day out there. Go out, take a hike, and have a good time tonight, maybe at some dog sled races. Right now it's sunny, temperature of 46, winds out of the south at 15 miles an hour, and we have a barometric pressure of 30 inches and falling. Tonight we should expect clear skies with a low of 34 and winds out of the southwest at 11 miles an hour. Tomorrow, let's expect some sunny skies with a high of 49 degrees and winds out of the west at 13 miles an hour. Around the UP right now, looks like only Sault Ste. Marie and Manistee have some clouds, and they are both at 33 and 36 respectively. Down here in Escanaba, we get the start of our sunny stretch, which is 40 there, 43 in Menominee, 45 over in Iron Mountain, 52 in Ironwood, and it's 46 here in Houghton, and back in Marquette, it is also 46. Let's take a look at your next 3 days. On Sunday, we have a high of 41 degrees, a low of 28 degrees, and some partly cloudy skies. On Monday, expect a high of 44, a low of 39, and some partly cloudy skies. And Tuesday, we're going to expect a high of 48, low of 36, and some rain. Well, Charles, I don't want to say that we didn't have a hot one last night on the court, and that's why we're having good weather today. But there was sure some good basketball last night.
That's right, Dan. The Marquette Redmen and Negaunee Miners continued their rivalry last night in a game that took longer than expected. Overtime was needed, and Marquette came out on top as they beat Negaunee 64-60. With 2.5 seconds left in regulation, Marquette's Alex Duvall was fouled by Negaunee's Darius Provost, and Duvall hit all 3 free throws to tie the same at 54. In overtime, Joe Ostrowski hit a 3-pointer 5 seconds in to give the Redmen the lead and never looked back. Dre Tumanen had 34 points and 8 rebounds for the Miners in a losing effort. Marquette improved to 15-1 this season, while Negaunee fell to 12-4. And last night, the Northern Michigan women's basketball team won their 17th game this season as they beat Ferris State 67-53. The Wildcats outscored Ferris State 42-19 in the first half. Jessica Schultz had a team high of 16 points, while Darby Youngstrom had 15. Senior Bree Gasperovich finished the night with 6 points and is just 3 points away from hitting 1,000 for her career. The Wildcats play Grand Valley State tomorrow at 1 p.m. in Allendale, Michigan. That game will be streamed on Watch ESPN. And finally, the Northern Michigan hockey team will look to continue their unbeaten streak this weekend when they play Minnesota State. The Wildcats have won 6 straight and have not lost since January 6th. Dominic Shine has scored 4 goals and recorded 5 assists in his career against Minnesota State. The Wildcats are in 7th place in WCHA standings, while Minnesota State is in 3rd place. The games are slated to start at 8:07 p.m. tonight and tomorrow from Mankato, Minnesota. So Sam, I hear we have some heroics going on the hockey rink, but you have a story about heroic squirrel.
I do. Every day it seems like there are more new high-tech ways to protect your home from potential burglars. However, an Idaho man's home was protected by his pet squirrel this week. When a teenager tried to break into the man's gun case, Joey the squirrel scratched him until he was forced to flee the scene.
You know, I always thought you needed a guard dog, but that's all the time we have today. Thank you for joining us on Public Eye News, and we will see you next week. I didn't even get banter.
No banter.
Yeah, no.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.